For the Giants and Padres, temperatures have been rising. All season long, it's been tense as these two National League West teams have been playing like rivals. Today should be just as intense as Matt Cain and James Shields match up. Big Game James was one of the Padres' biggest offseason signings, and Matt Cain has been a mainstay for the Giants for a decade. Final game of the series, it's coming up next. We are coming to you from Petco Park here in Southern California. Afternoon baseball as we get ready for Game 3 of this 3-game series, Giants and Padres. Hi again, everybody. I'm Dwayne Kuiper. Alongside me is Mike Krukow. Well, each team has won a game in this series, so this is the rubber match. Matt Cain, his last start, a little wobbly, and I'm sure, Mike, that he's pretty anxious to get out there today.
Well, indeed, and I think he's pretty amped up about the prospects of pitching the game that determines this series, because this series means a lot to both clubs. For the Padres, they're trying to maintain credibility as they near the trade deadline, and for the Giants, just simply getting Matt Cain back because they know how important he is the rest of the way. The good news is the Giants found some offensive rhythm last night. They look to improve upon that and keep that good flow with the bats going.
All right, should be fun here today. A little intense after last night. A couple of guys got a little heated last night, but look, it's always fun. Stay tuned. We'll take you to our Comcast Sportsnet studios for an update, and we'll do that right after this. Field. Final game of this road trip. Game time weather is presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Get to the beach. The admission-free boardwalk is now open daily. 74 degrees here at the yard. You see the winds are calm. Humidity at 77%. And it is partly cloudy. Here's Bruce Bochy's lineup. We'll run it down quickly. It'll be Pagan, Panik, and Duffy. Buster Posey back in the lineup. And then it's Hunter Pence. Good road trip. Couple of big flies. Bell, Crawford, and Blanco, and Matt Cain. He'll be on the hill.
On the hill today for the San Diego Padres will be the right-hander James Shields. Take a look at the numbers for Shields in 20 starts this year. He is 8-3 with a 3.92 ERA. More strikeouts than walks, and a nice strikeout, just about 3-to-1 strikeout-walk ratio. When you take your at-bats against him, you're going to see a low 90s fastball. He will too and four-seam. He'll have outstanding command of both sides of the plate. He is a control specialist. He has a curveball, a slider, and a changeup. He'll throw them all at you, depending on what's working. Shields, 33 years of age. He's a 9-year veteran, 6'3", 215-pounder. Let's take a look at the defense playing behind James Shields. Starting in the Padres outfield from left to right, it'll be Almonte, Upton, and Kemp. Best arms in center and right field. Barmas and Solarte on the left side of the infield. Jerko and Alonso on the right side. Derek Norris, he'll be in the squad, putting down the signs. For James Shields.
So here's Pagan to lead things off. Padres won on Monday. Giants won last night. So the battle for the series this afternoon. So here's Pagan. Pagan hitting at 268. And the first pitch of the ball game is on its way, and it's low and away. So we get started at 12:41. Pagan 4 for 10 lifetime against Shields. And home plate umpire Sam Holbrook says that's what a strike looks like. Gibson, Fagan, and Fairchild from first to third.
And Holbrook's got a pretty good zone. Doesn't have big corners, but they're consistent. He will give knees and he'll give some belt high strikes. A little bit of a higher strike zone than the other two we've seen in the series.
Pagan fouls it out of play. 1 for 4 last night for Angel Pagan. There's Holbrook. On the road trip, Angel Pagan, 5 hits, 22 at-bats. This is the final game of the trip. And the pitch is outside for a ball. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Giants with a nice win last night. A sit back and relax win. They don't have many of those. James to Norris. And this is tap foul. The young man that gave up some runs in the 9th inning last night, Josh Osich, got sent out today as Jeremy Affeldt was activated. And it had nothing to do with how Osich performed. He will be back. You can be assured of that.
He'll definitely be back in the big leagues. He proved that when he was here. He's a big leaguer.
Pagan on an off-speed pitch. Was that a changeup?
Changeup, straight change.
Just got a piece of it. There's the transaction today. Affeldt thrilled to be back. And you talk to people around here, he's throwing the ball extremely well. Pagan pulls this one foul.
Oh. Ball babes here are money.
That's not a problem. And even here you bring your glove, you get a ball.
That's what it should be.
So Pagan in a battle right now. Already 8 pitches to start out the game. Shields looks disgusted. He's like, this guy's killing me.
If your job as a leadoff hitter is to go up there and see some pitches, he's got to have a pretty good scout report to take back to the Giants dugout about what James Shields has or doesn't have today.
So in the end, it was Shields who won the battle, and that's how this game gets started.
A 2-2 changeup on the ninth pitch.
So here's Panic. Panic hitting at .314. Took an 0 for 3 last night. And here he takes a strike. I'd like to send along our best wishes to Bert Hem, who had knee replacement surgery. Big Giants fan, so enjoy this one.
Yeah, Bert, don't panic.
Down the line, fair ball. And it dies. However, Kemp gets to it quickly, and that's a double.
Well, the hits just keep happening for Joe Panic. If you watch his swing, it's really easy to understand why he is such a good contact hitter. He does not have a lot of swing. Very compact approach, and he knows the strike zone. You don't see him chase balls below the zone very well. He makes you come to him. This is right down at the knees, middle in. And just spins on it right down the right field line. Another line drive.
Here's Duffy. Duffy 1 for 4 last night. What a good road trip. Duffy picked up most of his hits in Arizona. He's 8 for 23 on the road trip. And that hits the outside corner.
Well, they are not afraid to have a little fun with the opponents here at Petco Park. That's Matt Duffy, or a version of Matt Duffy, and his dog Skeeter. It's way back Wednesday here in San Diego.
I'm glad they don't put the broadcasters' pictures up there, or at least we're not aware if they're going to do that. But those are the Padre uniforms that we played against. So way back Wednesday. Duffy taking that pitch low and away on a curveball, 2-2. Buster Posey on deck. Dodgers won today. They beat Atlanta 3-1. Got him.
50-mile-an-hour fastball. It's rare to see Duffy late on a fastball, especially late in the count. But this ball just goes right through him. And he was tardy. Second strikeout for Shields.
So here's Buster Posey.
Well, they really bunch the middle and play Posey to the right side, exposes the left field line. That's as big a gap on the left field line as we've seen against Posey all year. And that's a lot of room to left field. They really bunch the middle.
Buster, night off last night. He went 1 for 4 on Monday. I think Shields is looking like he's going to take advantage of the open first base.
You see the numbers: 1 for 10 regular season. Last year in postseason, 2 for 4. Posey's hot.
2 balls and 1 strike. Pence is on deck. It's 2-1, and it's out of play. 2-2. Giants have won 7 of 8. The Padres have won 5 of 6. Little pop up into right field. Kemp moving over, and Kemp will make the catch, and that'll end the inning. No runs, a double, 1 left. Matt Cain coming out. Abraham Almonte, who was just called up today, he will lead things off, followed by Solarte and then Kemp. Kemp's got not so much average numbers against Cain that are good, but his extra base hit numbers are terrific. Jerko will be the cleanup hitter. Then Alonso, Barmas, and Norris. Melvin Upton will hit 8th and Shields 9th.
On the hill today for the Giants will be the veteran right-hander, Matt Cain. Take a look at what Matt Cain has done in 3 starts. 1-1 with a 5.06 ERA. 17 hits allowed, 6 walks in the 16 innings. Still looking for the fastball to command, and that'll be the key for Cain today. His fastball has been in the low 90s. And you'll see a curveball, a slider, he'll cut the ball, throw a lot of changeups. Same old Matt Cain just needs to tighten up his command of the corners. And that's what they'll look for today in his consistency.
So here's Abraham Almonte. He's hitting .275 in El Paso. And right now Cain has to throw a strike.
The Padres have kind of been a thorn in the side of Matt Cain throughout his career. He's 7-14 lifetime, but an ERA of 3.18. He's always pitched well. He's never been able to get much run support.
Blanco barely has to move. And on a 2-0 pitch, Almonte's retired, and that'll bring up Solarte.
Let's take a look at the Giants defensively. Starting from the outfield, left to right, it'll be Blanco, Pagan, and Pence. Best arm in right field. Crawford and Duffy on the left side of the infield. Panic and Belt on the right side. Buster Posey, he'll be in the squad, putting down the signs.
Solarte 1 for 4 last night. He had 3 hits on Monday night. He's 4 for 9 in the series. On deck is Matt Kemp. Off the knees for a strike. That pitch at 89 miles an hour. Not an overshift, but the Giants do play Solarte to pull on the infield, at least on the left side. And this is into center field for Pagan. And Pagan will put it away, 2 out. And here's Kemp.
A couple of fly balls. No big surprise. Throughout Matt Cain's career, I mean, he really has been a fly ball strikeout type pitcher. He can pitch for ground balls when he needs them, but just by nature, I think he is a guy that is comfortable on the top of the strike zone, A lot of high fastballs, and you'll see a lot of fly balls.
Kemp 0 for 2 last night. 2 for 5 in the series. Remember, he hit a home run on Monday. There's a strike. Mike was talking about those numbers lifetime as this is lifted out into left field. So 3 fly balls and a 1-2-3 inning. I think Kemp's thinking he just missed that one. Pence, Belt, Crawford coming up.
Stood up in there against James Shields in the top of the first inning, and he does this, a 2-run shot in a ballpark that just didn't see a lot of home runs go out that way. That is our forward right choice.
You see regular season. And Pence right on the bed with a swing and a foul straight back. The shot of Hunter Pence on the scoreboard, it's not even him. That's not him.
Well, no. Dark hair.
Kind of looks like him a little bit.
I think they had fun putting those things together.
Yeah.
Mini horse laughs.
I think they did it in a bar, to be honest with you. Pence go around? Yes, he did.
Greg Gibson, crew chief and first base umpire today, making the call. No, that does not look like it with dark hair. But I guarantee both dugouts are enjoying it. And I'm sure the fans are as well. Themes.
Unbelievable. Pence hit his 5th home run of the year last night. And Shields strikes out Pence. Strikeout number 3.
Strikeouts 3, swing and miss strike 3s, 2 on changeups, 1 on a fastball. And that's the thing with Shields that is so impressive is that the 4 pitches that he'll throw at you, I mean, they can all strike you out.
So here's Belt. Belt's got a little bit of ownage on Shields in 6 at bats. He's got 4 hits, 2 of them doubles. Overshift is on for Belt. And the other day when Belt laid down a bunt, it got everybody's attention because Solarte is now playing in at third. Just do it one time. And he didn't even do it here. He did it in Arizona. There's Pat Murphy, interim manager on the left. Dave Roberts on the right, the former Giant. Three and 0. Dave Roberts will always be known for a stolen base. I like that.
Well, it was one of the biggest stolen bases in baseball history.
And Belt takes the 4-pitch walk. Crawford had a big night last night. Crawford had 3 hits. This was one of the 3. He got a breaking ball and it was gone.
An 0-2 count. And Yusmer Despagne, the starting pitcher for the Padres, hung that curveball and Crawford made him pay the ultimate price.
Crawford takes low, so that's 5 straight out of the strike zone. The picture of Crawford on the board here looks like Crawford. It does.
Well,
no, it looks like him.
Kind of a boy band haircut.
Yeah.
He could pretty much pull off any haircut.
Oh, absolutely. He throw 1-0. A changeup.
He's got that changeup working. It's a good one. You might think about that hairstyle.
Me or him?
Him.
Oh.
You had that hairstyle.
Parts of that's true. Outside to Crawford. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Take a look at the pitches that Shields throws, and the fastball and the cutter, that's a hard pitch, so that's 60% of the time, and then the changeup curveball, and the league really not hitting anything other than the fastball very well.
That foul at the plate. See, that's like the Patrick Swayze haircut.
Yeah. But he's rocketed.
Could have been one of the Beach Boys.
Easily. Dennis, the drummer.
I don't know. They're making me laugh. I know that.
Oh, great. Whoever came up with the theme. He's going.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Belt goes. Say they got him. Bruce Bochy's not so sure. The play was called by Clint Fagan.
Let's take a look. Belt said he was safe. Oh, that is close. I can see why Belt thought he might have been.
No, he's out. Well, at least not.
Bochy walked through the on-deck circle, almost stumbled on the way out to make the protest, and they are going to review this.
This replay review is presented by Xfinity. So I think if I'm going on record, I've officially said that he's been out and safe.
He's safe. They just showed a review up here. A lot of Giants fans in attendance reacting to the view. And the view we saw here showed that he beat the tag. So the Giants, with the advice of Sean Dunston and Chad Chop, who were in the Giants clubhouse, reviewing this.
Safe.
Yeah, he's safe.
So, for Belt, that'll be his 5th stolen base of the year.
We're saying.
Well, I'm going with it. And that'll put a runner in scoring position with 1 out. Trying to act pretty confident here. How do I sound?
Well, I'm with you on this thing. I mean, once we saw that one look, I don't see what the holdup is here. He beat it. It's rare that you see Brandon Belt argue unless he's got a really good point.
Yeah, no, that's true.
He immediately said that he was safe. And looking at that one view, I agree with him. He's safe. All right, we're getting close. And that's a big play. Especially when you have Brandon Crawford in the batter's box, who's sitting on 58 RBIs already.
So, the gentleman in the clubhouse. Good job.
Nice going, Sean Dunston and Chad Chop. That a bit.
It's 3-2, by the way, to Crawford. Crawford on the ground. And Barmes is going to throw him out, and I have no idea why Barmes didn't go to third.
Well, maybe with 1 out, he didn't think it. He never even looked, though.
I mean, he gets a runner off of a base where he'd be in scoring position.
And that's the play we're talking about. I mean, he just had to flip it over to Solarte, the third baseman. And they had Belt by a bunch. So now, pass ball, wild pitch. Hey, you never know.
Well, if you're Blanco and the pitcher's on deck, no sense waiting around. Down low, that'll even the count. Gregor Blanco's picture on the board? No, I'm not getting it.
No.
Two balls and a strike. Kane is on deck. We'll see if Shields comes into the strike zone to Blanco. He did once. On the ground to Barnes. Side retired. It'll be Jed Jerko to lead things off.
by Momo's, a San Francisco tradition.
Well, Giants come home to San Francisco tonight, a day off, and then they open up a weekend series against the Oakland Athletics at AT&T Park, Saturday, July 25th. First 30,000 fans receive a 100-pence gnome, courtesy of Blue Shield of California. And then on Sunday, the 26th, it's Country Day. The first 20,000 fans will receive Giants cowboy hats presented by the Saddle Rack. Get your tickets at sfgiants.com/tickets.
So here's Jerko. I asked John this in Arizona when you were off. I'll ask you the same question. When do we start disliking the A's announcers? Is it about now? Tomorrow? On the way to the park tomorrow or Friday?
Come on, one of them is your brother. You can't dislike your brother.
This is a ball game. This is a blood match. So let me know when we start. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Well, it'd be good to see those guys on Friday night.
Nah, I just don't like them, so I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one. This is a high pop-up foul and out of play.
It does promise to be a very entertaining weekend, as it always is when the Giants play the A's, whether it be in San Francisco or in Oakland.
Three and 2 now to Jerko. 0 for 4 last night, 1 for 7 in the series. Deep to left. And gone. And the Padres take a 1-0 lead. His 5th of the year, his 2nd hit in the series.
3-2 slider, and he hung it. Didn't want to walk him, so I think he bit off a little bit too much in the strike zone, which you're going to do, but he gets this ball up. Jerko absolutely takes advantage of the gift. That is the happy zone.
So here's Alonso. And Alonso takes wide. Alonso with a couple of home runs on the year with 20 runs batted in. He lines it the other way, but Blanco's there and he'll make the catch.
So 5 hitters, 5 fly balls. The one, however, leaves the ballpark.
So here's Barmas. Catfish Hunter went to the Hall of Fame by allowing solo home runs. He pitched. That's the way he went about his business. It's 0-1 to Barmas, hitting .281. Oh, 2 curveball. Three pitches. See you later for a strikeout. Barmas now 1 for 19 lifetime against Kane.
Cuts a little fastball. Goes out of the strike zone, up and away. Barmas is the guy who always has chased the high pitch, but he is also a good high ball hitter. Here, overmatched. First strikeout for Kane.
Here's Norris. Norris batting at .229, 11 home runs, 45 runs batted in. Oh for 6 lifetime against King. Tardy, 1 ball and 1 strike. 92.
Velocity has not been the problem with Kane. He's had good velocity ever since he's come back. Just getting the ball where he wants it to go. That's been the challenge.
Norris breaks his bat on that foul ball.
Get that foot down just a bit out front. Norris really was hot early in the year. Get out front on the end of the bat. This is what happens. I don't think he can use that again.
No, that one is kindling. Runs that one low and in. 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs. Padres out in front now, 1-0. Fouls it back. Another 2-2 pitch is hit on the ground, and it's into right field, a base hit. So opposite field hitting for Norris. Like Norris hit that one right out of Buster Posey's catcher's mitt. Here's Upton.
Nice job letting that ball get in deep. It almost looked like he hit that ball off his right hip. Good 2-strike swing right there.
Upton with a big swing and a foul into the seats. 1 for 3 last night for Upton, 2 for 7 in the series.
Upton very aggressive, and I think guys like Kane, who are always around the strike zone, I think he's even more aggressive against guys like that. I mean, he's gonna swing it.
Keep an eye on Norris. It is July. He is a catcher, but he's not afraid to try to steal a base. Pitch runs inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Norris goes. Pitch is high. Posey's throw. Not in time.
Called it. And really not a good pitch for Posey to get off a quick throw, and it sort of took him off balance, which is why he missed high with the throw. Had he had a more accurate throw, they may have been able to get Norris. This is going to be a little technical suggestion here from Posey about keeping that front shoulder in, driving that front side towards the target. Kane, throughout most of his career, has always been a guy who's been able to fix himself quickly on the mound. He'll throw one pitch where he flies his front shoulder. He's always able to get right back into the next pitch. But since he's come back, it has not been that easy for him.
So it's 3-2. First base is open. Got it, and that'll end the inning. Jerko hits a solo home run after 2, 1-0 Padres.
service, straight talk. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Hey, come out to the ballpark early on Tuesday, July 28th for the Giants' annual Family Safety Festival. The pregame festival is held in Lefty O'Doul Plaza, and you can check out the interactive displays and booths and visit with representatives from our public safety organizations, including CHP, FBI, SFPD, SFFD, American Heart Association, and others. That's the Giants Family Safety Festival on July 28th in Lefty O'Doul Plaza.
Here's Kane, who's looking for his first hit of the year. He's 0 for 6. Pagan and then Panic. Third inning. 1-0. Padres. Kane hooks it. Wow.
Just foul. That would have been nice. One of the hardest balls hit off of James Shields the first time through the Giants lineup. And this is how foul it was. 2-3 feet. Ball bad, getting out of dodge. Nice.
Put the sunglasses on. What a difference. Feeling a lot better right now. It's 2 balls and a strike. Kane pops it up. It's Jerko. 1 out. So here's Pagan. Pagan struck out to open up the ball game. Takes a pitch in tight.
Shields has really mixed his pitches well today.
Nope, 2-0. Pagan will sit on a fastball here, 2-0. Thinking all the way. Three balls in one strike.
Talking about Pagan, I mean, he is really getting some pitches out of Shields. Remember his first at bat, he got 9. He struck out on a changeup. It was a great at bat. Against guys who are good pitchers like Shields, you got to get pitches out of them.
Kemp moves in and over. Here's our quote: Angel Pagana and Dale Thayer's gum toss last night. Pagan said, he's copying me. That's my move.
Well, it was back in April.
Panic doubled in the first inning. So a quick 0-2 to Joe Panic. The double by Panic gives him 110 hits. That is the third most in the National League behind Dee Gordon and Paul Goldschmidt.
Join the park within the park.
Slowly hit. Jerko's coming in. Jerko will have to barehand it, and he throws a grounder to Alonso. And Joe Panic's going to have an infield hit.
Got to be a knock.
This is what Mike was talking about earlier in the year. Pagan had some gum and he flipped it and it stuck to his glove and it went at Norris and Norris got upset and benches were warned and the grand slam went there through the gum and all of a sudden we got Gumgate here in San Diego.
Well, both benches wound up coming out, facing off each other. There was some huffing and puffing, and it all calmed down. I don't think we're going to see any fines off that particular incident, but you never know.
Duffy struck out on the first. And a strike, and it's 0-1.
So, you hit a grand slam. Next day, you reward, you get a day off. Such is the life of a backup catcher.
He hit it pretty good, too.
He did.
Well, they're staying away to Duffy. And it's a ball and a strike. Buster Posey's on deck.
That's one thing we've consistently seen through the years. Ever since the Padres came to Petco Park. The dimensions are so big. It's like when in doubt, throw the hard fastball away. Your opponent hit the ball in the other direction. Ooh. That was close. Shields does have a quick pickoff move. He may have had a little belief to second base. That is close. That's almost reviewable. Definitely shorten your lead off.
It's a ball and a strike. That's a fact. Again, away to Duffy. I think they've seen a couple of pitches that Duffy has hit trying to get in on him. And they'd rather force Duffy to hit the ball the other way, which he can do very well. But this is about the time now for Matt Duffy where the league starts to get to know you. You got a bunch of guys trying to figure out how to get you out. And a lot of them aren't in uniform.
Every new hitter's a puzzle. Everybody tries to figure them out. And the pitcher's fraternity is a close-knit group. With all the video and all the scouting and all the analysis, guys still check with other guys around the league with other teams as to how they're getting them out. If they're having success against them, what are you doing?
He got him again. And that'll end the inning. Shields is going to lead things off.
Nationals, July 31st through August 2nd at Sonoma Raceway. Visit racesonoma.com for tickets today.
Hey, log on to csnbayarea.com as insider Alex Pavlovich provides wire-to-wire reporting for the Giants 2015 season. You'll see it only on csnbayarea.com.
Here's Shields. Shields is 7 for 41. Top of the order, Abraham Almonte and then Solarte. So Kane drops in a fastball on the 2-0 pitch. Two and two. Got him. Third strikeout for Kane.
Big, slow curveball. A lot of memorabilia outside the ballpark here at Petco Park, including a jersey from Madison Bumgarner. How about that?
AT&T South. Come on.
A lot of Giants fans here. I have to believe that has a chance of getting sold.
Panic in and out of his glove, and Almonte with a base hit.
Just not enough glove. That's the one problem about having a small glove as a second baseman.
Oh, well, I'll bet you that Panic would like to have another shot at that one. Here's Solarte. Solarte hit a fly ball to Pagan in the first inning. Almonte a base stealer, so Matt Cain will keep a close eye on him. Nothing Padres. Get Jerko a home run. That's the difference. Down low. Giants play the A's on Friday night. Miami comes in and they will take on these Padres here at Petco Park tomorrow night. Two balls and a strike.
I'm surprised we haven't seen Solarte go, or Almonte, I beg your pardon, the runner at first base go. Some of the elements that Almonte brings to the game, he can steal a base.
Now a bluff and a drive to right. Kent's back. Kent's still back, and on the track he makes the catch. Solarte hit that ball pretty good.
He's definitely got some Gumby shoulders walking back to the Padres dugout. He does hit this ball well. It's about halfway to the warning track, and I think he just got Petco'd.
He down to get it, but he got a good barrel on it.
He got about 2/3 of the way down the first base line, and boy, did he put on some bad body language.
Good breaking ball from Matt Cain, and it's 0-1.
Somebody stole the cookie out of his lunch pail. He was not happy.
Snap throw to first, and diving back is Almonte.
These last couple of years, we've seen a lot of really dramatic defensive alignments prior to a pitch, playing the pull side of the field. And you played a long time in middle infield. Would that have been problematic to learn all the different angles that you have to cover now as a middle infielder?
I think if you never played any of those other spots before, there's a shot foul. But if you moved around the infield your whole life, it's not too problematic.
But you take a look at Joe Panik. I mean, he's just on the shortstop side of second base. I mean,
he's a shortstop, though.
Yeah, and yet we've seen him 70 feet out in right field. That's a lot of spectrum to be responsible for. All three of the infielders on the left side of the infield right now were Giants draft picks, and they were all high picks, and they were all picked as shortstops when they signed, so they all have good arms.
Well, the guy catching was one in college. Tap foul again. So a gorgeous afternoon here in San Diego. Weather's been good. It was the Friday night game that was rained out here against the Rockies. Now the runner goes. They're going to drive to left. Blanco can't get it, and the Giants catch a break. Even with the runner going, Almonte's got to go back.
Now the Padres are talking it over, and I think Pat Murphy's going to come out and make that comment about where Almonte was. Greg Gibson, the crew chief, coming right out, and he's kind of putting a squash on the argument. Yes, indeed, the Giants do catch a break.
So here's Jerko, who homered off at Kane in the second. And a breaking ball inside. You can see where Almonte was. And I guess the point is it doesn't matter.
And I think that's exactly what Greg Gibson said here.
If there were a common sense rule, then Almonte would have been able to score. Swinging a pitch in the dirt.
But you know, there is a lot of gray area in the rule book that has to do with umpire discretion, and that's one of those things that, you know, it doesn't have to be an automatic ground rule double. They could say, well, his ground rule triple, I mean, whatever. They can.
I don't think so on this one, Mike.
Well, with the runner, with the one hopper going over the wall. But there is a lot in the book already, which the point I'm making is that they may evolve into that kind of a decision eventually. Because I agree with you, he would have scored standing up.
He might have been able to go back to first and then slide into second. But I guess what the rule does is it protects the umpires from really having to come up with so many different scenarios on how to police the game. It's way outside.
But there's so much of that in the book now. I mean, the rule book is, we read it every year. We reread it and reread it. And there are still things that are confusing, and it falls back into the umpire's discretion. They have the right to make that call.
2-2 pitch coming up to Jerko. And this time Kane wins the battle and Jerko slams his bat, and that'll end the inning. It remains 1-0.
Who hit him? Casey McGee, Brandon Crawford, Buster Posey with a couple of them, Hunter Pence. Last night it was Hector Sanchez. The record for most Grand Slams in a season, the Giants' record is 7. They did it in 1970, 1998, and the year 2000.
So here's Buster Posey. Buster hit a fly ball to right field to end the first. Here he shoots one into the hole for a base hit. Time for our Togo's big play the Togo's way. Hector Sanchez last night off of Dale Thayer. 6th inning. That's our Togo's big play the Togo's way. Here's Pence. Pence struck out in the 2nd inning. So James out of the stretch. Or make that Shields out of the stretch. And a swing and a foul off of the foot of Hunter Pence. Jed Jerko, a home run in the 2nd inning. That's the difference. Belt on deck. In the hole. That last pitch is a tough pitch to go in the hole with. to go out there again, but this is way wide and low. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
61 pitches on the day for Shields. Ideally, you want to be at 60 at the end of the 4th inning. So he is a little bit above where he should be pitch count wise. I think the Giants have done a good job of getting pitches out of him.
And Pence waves everyone in the dirt. Second time he struck out.
5 swing and miss strikeouts for Shields today. 4 of those strikeouts have come on changeups. 2 of them have come at changeups against Hunter Pence.
So here's Belt. Belt drew a walk in the second. And the first pitch is wide. So Belt now trying to get on for Crawford. The Padres are going to move 3 infielders to the right of second base. And a strike to Belt.
Back to a breaking ball.
Giants trying to stay even with the Dodgers. The Dodgers won today.
Shields not happy with that pitch. Up and away, easy take, then set up a whole lot. Shields having quite a discussion with himself right now.
Yes, he is.
When you're a command specialist like he is, I mean, you don't have a lot of patience when you don't have command of your pitches around the strike zone.
And the walk.
So a 3-1 changeup, and for the second time today, he walks Brandon Belt.
So here's Crawford. Crawford bounced out to short in the second inning.
Yeah, remind me, we have to do that yet today.
We can find some time, maybe after we get off the plane. No, it's probably not going to happen.
No. Good thought, though.
Posey at second, Belt at first. Crawford holds up. Yes, he does. 1 ball and no strikes.
Chad Fairchild, third base umpire, with the non-call. Giants have set the table once again for Brandon Crawford.
Tapped, foul.
If you're going to have a big year with RBIs, I mean, you have to have help from your teammates. So you have to set the table. And this is what he has done with runners in scoring position. And since May 9th, it's even gotten better. To say he's relaxed in an RBI situation is an understatement.
So it's 1-2. 70 pitches now for Shields. High pop-up right into the Giants section. Easy, easy. $15 ball. Yeah, but I'm okay. I got 2 kneecaps that are gone and a shin burger, but I'm fine.
Yeah. I won the lottery. Are you kidding?
Blanco to follow. Time to have a check.
Don't hang it. Okay. "71 pitches." So the pitch count continues to rise. And he has had a lot of stretch time. Ready to stretch every inning.
Slowly hit. And Crawford's retired as both base runners move up.
Nice play by Jerko. I think he's been outstanding defensively in this series against the Giants.
So Blanco's coming up. Blanco bounced out to short in the second. He had that at bat with Belt at third and 2 outs, and now they're going to walk Blanco intentionally. Although the best ball hit off of Shields in this game has been a line drive foul, just foul off the bat of Matt Cain. So I'm feeling okay about this, to be honest with you, partner.
You're right. He's had good swings against James Shields. That's another thing too. I don't think they should count those 4 pitches against the pitch count.
I agree.
I mean, I think you should throw them. There have been suggestions that you just say you want to potentially walk somebody just to save time in the game and they avoid the throws. But we've seen guys throw those pitches away, so it's not an automatic. You have to throw them. But I don't think they're going to take anything out of your arm.
Oh, and 1 to King.
Think about Derek Norris. He is not afraid to have a meeting during the game. What do you think? Do you think he leaves the league?
No, absolutely not. The other Southern California team leads the league.
Well, that's for the manager. I just mean for the catcher.
And I'll repeat myself.
You think they get the lead? Huh?
1 and 2.
Pitches for breaking balls. That one just a little outside.
Posey, Belt, and Blanco. They're your base runners here in the 4th inning. And that'll do it. 6 strikeouts for Shields. 1-0 Padres. 7 in the third innings, 1 hit, no runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. He threw 116 pitches, and he picked up win number 10 in the season. There you see some of the highlights. He was fabulous.
No, he really was, and I think that the thing that was so impressive about his outing last night was the consistency of the sinker. He never really used the changeup last night, which is a pitch that he's really brought into the fold. In the previous 3 starts, he used them a lot. Last night, he didn't throw any of them. Sinker, slider, cutters. Just a very solid performance, and almost a night off for the bullpen. They didn't have to eat up a lot of innings. So here we are, back into July, and the Giants bullpen's pretty strong, rested.
So it's Yonder Alonso to lead things off. He lined out to left in the second inning. It's 1-0 Padres. And a strike to even the count at a ball and a strike.
I like that call. Missed badly with a breaking ball. His first pitch came right back, called it again, got it right in the strike zone. Nice adjustment from Kane.
Hit up the middle off of Kane, and this is going to be a base hit.
The way they had shifted defense, it probably would have been a ball that, if it had gotten past Kane, the Giants would have been able to get. You see where Crawford is prior to the pitch, but from Kane's perspective, you're just trying to get a piece of it and slow it down. So a bit unfortunate for Kane, but a leadoff single for the Padres, and Kane right back into the stretch.
Yeah, right back into the stretch. Here's Barmas. Barmas fouls it back. He struck out in the second inning. Little pop up. Buster Posey giving chase. Oh, 2 to Barmas. Norris is on deck. This is popped up into shallow right field. His Panicle put it away. And here's Norris. Norris rolled one through the right side in the second inning. So Kane about to throw pitch number 60. And it's low, 1-0. Runner goes. Posey's throw. In time. Got him.
Hey, that looked easy.
I don't know if that was a hit and run.
Yeah, let's take a look. It was a hit and run. Somebody missed a sign. And Alonso, I mean, that's his 7th attempt to steal a base, so you shouldn't act that surprised. He's been caught 5 times now. but he wasn't even close.
It's not even close.
Just Ross Kane wanted that one.
So Norris ahead in the count, 3-1. He will hit one softly out to right field, and it's going to be Hunter Pence, who could not hang on, and it's going to fall for Norris. I'm not sure it was hit high enough for either Panic or Pence really to take charge.
I'm not sure how much of it he saw. You can see the shadows behind him, so the sun did have an effect on it, although the glasses weren't down. Ball hits him low in the heel. So
an error on Pence.
Padres get another opportunity.
Here's Upton. Upton struck out in the second. Just have to be careful with this guy. He's got a spot where if you put it in that one spot, he can hurt you.
And you're right, and he's throwing fastballs right through him, out over the plate away, just a bit above the belt, and he could swing through 9 of them, and then all of a sudden, boom, he could catch one. That's how dangerous the guy is, but he does have a hole. Kane just trying to go right back to that hole in the strike zone.
High again. It's 2-2. Norris stole second base in the second. See what he does here. Belt holding him tight. Got him. Now in the inning. For the Giants, top of the order coming up.
Friday.
Here at Petco Park, the difference in this game is a second inning home run by Jed Jerko. James Shields with 6 strikeouts and 3 walks. It'll be Pagan, Panic, and Duffy. Pagan is 0 for 2. "81 pitches for Shields. And Pagan takes wide, 1-0. The Giants work Shields here in the 5th. He could have 100 pitches.
I mean, that's the goal. When you have an ace out there like Shields, I mean, it's one way to go after him. Get pitches out of him. But you can't have a fear of the 2-strike count. I mean, you've got to have a knowledge of the strike zone. And he's going to be trying to shave the corners of the strike zone. I mean, it's a lot easier said than done. The guy who's been the best at getting throws out of Shields today is in the batter's box right now.
So it's 2-1 now to Shield or to Pagan. Pagan fouls it out of play. Panic, and then Duffy. And the 2-2 pitch. Here it is to Angel Pagan. 3-2.
Pitches, pitches, and more pitches. The importance of the strike zone and the pitch count.
Hit up the middle. Barmes, off balance throw, got him. Ball came up at the last second for Barmes, but he hung in there with it.
Barmes always had a good arm and not afraid to throw it off the right foot. Just a little flick of the wrist.
So here's Panic. Panic's 2 for 2, a double and then an infield hit. And he rolls it foul, so it's a quick 0-2. There's Duffy. Right back to James. 2 outs. And here's Duffy.
This is going to be an interesting at bat because of the previous 2. Duffy has struck out twice against Shields. Both times the strikeout pitch was a changeup that he was fooled on. And you may see Duffy try and get after him early in the count to stay out of that 2-strike situation.
And that's foul down the right field line and out of play.
I mean, you can see how Shields is going after him, just the way that the defense sets up. Matt Kemp in right field is playing Duffy like he's a left-handed pull hitter. Hard stuff away and then change-ups to finish him off.
Buster Posey's on deck.
On the right side of the outfield, pinching that gap, and Kemp taking away the line.
Two balls and a strike. Fifth inning here in San Diego. Both teams playing good baseball. That's a perfect pitch. It's 2-2.
Knee-high outside corner. His two-seam movement, starting off the plate away, coming back into the strike zone. And here again, he's in that 2-strike count. He still hadn't shown him a changeup in this at bat.
Foul back.
Away with hard stuff. It did show him a curveball. But I have to believe he saved him in a changeup. And we may see it now.
Duffy with a hat trick. James Shields is going to lead things off. And photo to hashtag CSN Data Strong Fan, and you might just see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. It's Nicole Wolf pointing out the Hunter Pence autograph she got on her hat. You got a good one. So James Shields' day is over. So here's Venable. I'm a little surprised by that.
It was the pitch count that got him out of the game. 96 pitches into it. He's done. It's a little Venable.
I don't know. I wonder if Max and Molly looked at that picture, if they would go, who does that look like? More like Molly than Max, I got to tell you. Oh, foul.
Pick it. Yep.
.248. That's what William is hitting. This is pulled on the ground to Belt. Belt with those soft hands knocks it down. He does have soft hands.
He does.
He's a good defender.
Marcus Mateo right-hander heating up for the Padres in Oakland.
Here's a leadoff hitter, Almonte. In at third is Duffy. And a strike. Almonte showing bunt. Three hits for the Giants, 5 hits for the Padres. This is bounced foul, and then make it 0-2.
Back-to-back changeups. Elevate the fastball. I mean, Kane's got to be pretty happy with what he's done today. I mean, this is exactly what the Giants have been waiting for in regards to his command. He's moved the fastball around well. He's mixed his cutter and his slider and his curveball and his changeup. Except for that pitch there, it's been a pretty good day. The one run that he did give up was a 3-2 slider. And Chad Jerko hit over the left field wall.
Got him.
6th strikeout for Kane. Well, the San Francisco Giant race is on Sunday, August 23rd. You can register now before the race sells out for the 5th time in a row at giantrace.com. The race includes a half marathon, 10K, 5K, kids race, and family relay. All participants receive a Hunter Pence runner bobblehead, a t-shirt, and a medal modeled after the 2014 World Series championship ring. Register now at giantrace.com.
First pitch swinging is Solarte, and Blanco's moving in and under, and he'll make the catch to end the inning. Buster Posey, he's going to lead things off as we head to the 6th. 1-0 Padres.
Of both 7:15 games. Wednesday the 29th, you can catch day baseball in the city with a 12:45 start. That's the Brewers Giants, July 27th, 8th, and 9th.
So get your tickets now at sfgiants.com.
It's a 1-0 lead for the Padres when it's time for a change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change tune-up and brake experts.
The pitcher now for the Padres, Marcus Mateo. 10th game that he has come in since he's been called up. He's having a good start. 11 base runners, 11 innings, 14 strikeouts against just a couple of walks. He's basically a two-pitch guy. You're going to see a fastball that's mid-90s and a hard slider. So it's a bullpen game now for the Padres.
And here's Buster Posey, who's 1 for 2. He singled to lead off the 4th. And the first pitch is high and wide, and it's 1 ball and no strikes. Remember, the Padres have this terrific back end of the bullpen. There's a strike.
Tail, low 3/4 release. When you're getting elbows and kneecaps flying at you. Got his hat on for Fernando Rodney style. No attitude.
Posey skies it to right. It'll be Kemp.
Well, with Hunter Pence coming up, take a look at the 5 home runs that he's hit this year and where he's hit them and what he's hit them off of. I mean, he's used the whole field from foul line to foul line. A couple of fastballs, a couple of sliders. Last night he hit a curveball over the wall 442 feet away. That's been the one he's hit the farthest. Tough guy to pitch to.
He's struck out twice.
There you see the low 3/4 release and just the wild delivery from Mateo. He's not a comfortable at bat, especially if you're hitting off the right side. Nice quick little slider. I mean, he's got that look like he'll just trim your eyelashes if you look at him long. I mean, he does have presence out there, no doubt.
Way outside, it's 2-2. Got him. This was the home run that Hunter Pence hit last night, which was middle in.
That was a 1-2 curveball, and that's the one he hit 442 feet. I mean, that's a big boy home run.
So here's Belt. Belt has walked twice. Overshift is on for Belt. Here's where he laid down a bunt the other day, which is wide, 1-0.
Well, with the wild follow through of Mateo, he does not cover the third base side of the infield very well. But in a 1-run ball game, getting late, he's also a guy who hit the ball out of the ballpark. And you want a guy with his power, bunting, or do you want him trying to tie it up?
One-two pitch to Belt. The take every ounce of strength for Belt not to go after that.
I'm surprised they didn't check. Slider in the strike zone. You see the target, just how wide they set it up. Now, true, he didn't move the glove, but they set that target almost completely off the plate away. Sam Holbrook played umpire, not Blake.
Belt hits a high drive into right center field. It is out of here, and this game is tied. Home run number 10. And that's why you don't bunt. It is.
Especially with 2 outs in a one-run game. Comes at him again with another slider, and he just backspins it. Mateo knew it was trouble as soon as it left the bat. Mateo put a death stare on the Sam Holbrook, the plate umpire, as Belt was rounding the bases.
So here's Crawford. And Crawford takes high. Strike at the knees. Crawford fouls it back. It's now 1-2. Two and two. Vance hit 3 home runs last night, and now in this game the home runs are even. Well, Mateo unhappy again with Sam Holbrook.
Well, Holbrook's got his hands on his hips, and that's a warning from the plate umpire. He is not buying the body language from Mateo. He is not appreciating it.
And the walk.
And you can definitely lose some corners on that strike zone by showing up at umpire. And I think Clint Barmas, the shortstop for the Padres, coming out trying to calm Mateo down a bit. Do not want to make an enemy with that home plate umpire.
Here's Blanco. Blanco's bounced out. He's walked intentionally. Crawford a good lead. Not close. 1 ball and no strikes. Posey hit a fly ball to right. Pence struck out, but then Belt, after a good battle, hit a home run to tie the game. And the walk to Crawford. So here's Blanco. Nope. There's no corners now. It's 2-0.
You're not going to get the close ones. You've taken them away just because you've shown up that umpire with your body language. That means you have to bite off more strike zone, and that means it's more opportunity for the guy in the batter's box.
On the ground, speared by Alonso, and that's going to end the inning. Belt's home run ties the game, and it's bye-bye baby as we head to the bottom of the 6th.
their 6-game road trip, and they'll head back to San Francisco tonight. Off day tomorrow, and then they open up a 6-game homestand with 3 against the A's over the weekend, followed by the Milwaukee Brewers Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Right now it is a brand new ball game thanks to Brandon Belt's 10th home run of the year, 1-1.
Having some fun out on the berm. Here's Kemp. Giants tie it up, and right off the bat, Kane's got to face the beef. Kemp, Jerko, and Alonso. And Kemp takes inside, so it's 2 balls and no strikes. Kemp is flied out and doubled. Mauer is getting loose in the bullpen. Overshift is on for Kemp. And a strike.
Change up. Good one. And really, it looks like the rhythm that Kane has evolved into this game has really impressed us, and it just looks like Matt Kane of old.
Not close.
Brandon Belt, 10th home run. That's the last time he hit a home run was June 20th, 82 at bats ago. So he's been due to go yard.
Three and 2. First one of the day. Jerko's homered and he struck out. Be pitch number 87 for Matt Kane. This is a 3-2 pitch to Jerko. Take a look at it. A hanger, and it's gone. Nope, just a bit outside. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Just a bit outside. I'm talking about half the width of a baseball outside, if indeed it was outside. George Canto's starting to get heated up. The fixer.
In the dirt. Nice play by Buster Posey. Fouled off of Jerko's foot. So it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Kemp with good speed at first. And a full count.
He's got a pretty good eye to lay off those pitches, especially the 2-strike count. And Kane is making some quality throws into that outside corner. He's not getting a lot to show for it. Jerko's got the reputations that he will expand the zone, especially breaking balls down and away.
Pop up, and it's going to reach the seats.
Kemp not moving at first base.
Left center field, Blanco with room, and he's going to make the catch. Day baseball here, the ball is going to carry a little bit more.
I don't think he hit that thing close to the sweet spot. It was up the bat. It gives you an idea of the carry during the day and the strength of Jerko. I mean, he doesn't have to catch it flush to get it out of here. I guarantee you that did send a little flutter in the heart of Bruce Bochy. Left the bat.
Here's Alonso, who hit one off the foot of Kane for an infield hit in the fourth. Swing and a miss. Still light on that fastball from Matt Kane.
94 pitches into it. Still throwing balls by guys at the letters, even though it's 89. He's always been able to get the ball on you quick because of his delivery. His arm action's a little deceiving.
Kane is due to lead off the seventh, so you would figure that this is going to be it for him if he gets through this inning. That's a little low.
Close. But good misses. That's something we didn't see the last couple starts he's had. He didn't have great misses around the strike zone. Commanded a much better than what we've seen.
More work for Blanco. Kemp goes back to tag, but he stays at first base. 2 outs. Actually couldn't think of a better guy to hit 3 balls to.
Well, you're right. With Blanco in left field, you essentially have a center fielder playing left field with great hands.
Farmas with a swing and a miss. There's some talk in the paper that with Jordy Mercer going down for the Pirates, their shortstop, that there was some interest of bringing Clint Farmas back to Pittsburgh. I can see why.
Experienced middle infielder.
Good player.
Consistent.
Very well liked in the clubhouse. It's now 0-2. Pirates are playing good baseball, and they have lost James Harrison for a while. A lot of finals already today.
Travel day.
Farmas. Pop up over by the dugout, and it's out of play. So it's 0-2 to Clint Farmas. Kane letting it out. That was pitch number 100. What about Matt Kane? The before surgery, after surgery. What his fastball is in the first inning, usually it's the same at pitch 100. It's never really deviated a whole lot.
Yeah, that guy right there, David Getty's got to be pretty happy with what he's seen today from Kane.
It's going to be Joe Panik looking into the sun, and in foul territory, he's going to make the catch. And Matt Cain's walking off the mound, and he's got to be feeling pretty good about today. It's 1-1. Kane, Shields, fabulous. Belt a solo home run. Jerko a solo home run. That's it. That's all we got, folks. A bullpen game for the Padres when it's time for a change. Think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change tune-up in brake experts. Guy that throws the ball pretty good.
Brandon Maurer, indeed. You're seeing mid to high 90s with fastball velocity. He also has a great slider. A curveball and a changeup, but for the most part, it's his fastball slider.
So Adrianja buffs the bunt. Top of the order, Pagan, and then Panik. So Adrianza. Trying to get on to the top of the order. 2 balls and 1 strike. Three and 1. Think Adrianza take a walk?
Oh yeah. The Giants take any run they can get off of Maurer. Pagan, the top of the lineup on deck. So this is a big pitch and a big at bat for the Giants.
On the ground, Barnes.
That Kane coming back to the dugout after the inning, and congratulations from his pitching coach. Giants have to be very excited about the way he threw the ball today. I mean, he just looked fantastic. Spotted the fastball well through all of his pitches. Didn't have a big strike zone. Had a consistent one, but he didn't get big corners with his zone. He threw it all. Just 1 run allowed, 5 hits, 6 strikeouts.
Outside Pagan, who's 0 for 3.
What the Giants have been waiting for.
Pagan taking all the way. And a base hit for Pagan as he kind of gulps one into right field. And that'll bring up Joe Panik.
One thing we've seen pretty steady from Mauer is knee-high control. When he misses, it's usually below the strike zone. So if you're going to beat him, you're going to have to go down and get one. And Pagan did that.
6 strikeouts, 1 home run. Now came to 101 pitches, 62 strikes.
So here's Panik. Outside. It's not an easy 95 from Brendan Mauer. Pagan a little bit of a lean.
That throw all by the bench.
There's a strike.
That's a changeup, a good one.
From up here, to me, that looked like a fastball away. Maybe that's the reason why I hated to hit against the changeup.
Generation now, I mean, they've seen so many of them. Definitely affected hitting styles. But what sells it is the arm action identical to that of the fastball. And that's why it looks so much like the fastball.
Duffy watching from the on-deck circle. There's the lead by Pagan. And the dirt, it's 3-1. So now Mauer has to come in. The next thing he wants to do here is walk Panik, putting Pagan into scoring position. Panik got a play. 38,435. Nice crowd today. Maybe the largest crowd in this 3-game series. I think if you give the people of San Diego a chance to enjoy the sunshine, they're going to take advantage of it.
Well, this ballpark is stunning.
Tapped to the first baseman Alonso. Panik is going to be retired into scoring position as Pagan. So here's Duffy. I'm not so sure how many times in Matt Duffy's professional career he's been sitting on 3 strikeouts going into his 4th at bat.
Twice. And both times James Shields was on the hill. I mean, his career, 2 hat tricks. James Shields. I have to believe that Duffy and Hunter Pence are pretty excited that Shields is out of the game.
I'm not sure. They're pointing at something in right field. Kent is going right. What's everybody pointing at me for?
They're bringing him in. Don has good speed. Kent has a great arm. He has 9 assists out in right field. He leads the National League. So with Duffy, who has a great approach to right field, good chances the way they're going to pitch him is away.
It does increase your odds of driving one into right center field. But the Padres believe that if Duffy's going to get a hit, it's going to be in front of Kim, not past Kim. No balls and 1 strike.
Hard slider. That's a good one.
A 1-1 ball game here in the 7th. Dirt again. I'm looking at Buster Posey. He must really think Duffy's not going to pull the ball.
He's way out of that batting circle, on deck circle.
But I think he's so tired of having his feet on dirt, he wants to stand on grass.
You have a point there.
Look out. 3-1.
Well, Bauer, you got to figure that he doesn't want to face Posey, who's on deck. This should be a strike, something in the zone.
You would think so. Look out. So that's 97 on a get-it-in fastball.
Even in a fastball count, he ain't running up there naked. 97's with movement. That's all he had, and that's not a bad way to live.
Three and 2. No swing. Posey's going to hit. I'll bet you Matt Duffy was going down the line thinking, please do not raise that right arm.
You're right. I mean, he was this far away from a silver sombrero. We're talking inches, and some umpires would have said you did swing. So the Giants get what they want. They get Posey up or runner scoring position. And very quickly, Darren Balls did it. Padres pitching coach going to come out and talk it over with Mauer.
Buster in 2 at bats, lifetime against Mauer, does have a double. He's 1 for 2.
And they do have an open base now with 2 outs. Third base is open, so they don't have to pitch to him. Hunter Pence on deck, 0 for 3 today with 3 strikeouts. 2 of those against Shields, 1 against Marcus Mateo.
So here's Buster Posey, 1 for 3. 1 ball and no strikes.
And that may have been the message. Throw a bunch of sliders down the dirt. Don't give in to them. Don't give them anything to hit.
Swing. A ball and a strike.
Nasty slider. The arms across the board in the outfield for the Padres are good. Almonte in left, Upton in center, Kemp in right. They're all above average.
Two balls and a strike.
Just not giving them anything to hit.
Good speed at second. Good speed at first. Down the right field line. And it's a base hit, and it gets past Kemp. Pagan scores. Duffy scores. And the Giants take the lead. And Buster Posey comes through here in the 7th inning. He can hit.
He can hit, and the Padres are scratching their head. I mean, that is off the plate away, knee high, and Posey just goes down and spanks it right into right field. Kemp about a foot away from making the play. Just a tremendous at bat on not a whole lot to do anything with. And watch the reaction from the Giants dugout. And that came.
Pence loops one to right, and he's got a base hit. And here comes Posey. And just like that, the Giants lead by 3 runs. And Matt Cain has got a shot for a decision. So 2 guys that were sitting on hat tricks come through in this inning, Duffy and Pence.
And that's going to be it for Mauer.
When it's time for a change, think Speedy. Oil change and auto service. Your oil change tune-up and brake experts. We'll be back. Your new pitcher,
Kevin Quackenbush, 27th time he's coming in. 1-1 with a 3.18 ERA. Low 90s fastball with a big over-the-top curveball. Right 3/4 release. And with lefties, you'll see a split. I'll tell you what, that at bat from Buster Posey was pure as pure can be, and he didn't have a whole lot to work with. It's one of those situations where you have a pitching coach come out there with an open third base and saying, don't give him anything to hit, and you get beat. You need to sit as far away from that manager when you get back to that dugout as you can. But I'm sure Posey realizing that at bat was going to go away. I mean, he cheated a little bit, and he winds up going to right field to beat it. Just a thing of beauty.
Here's Bell to homer to tie the game in the 6th. And he swings and misses, and it's 0-1. And Greshner checking in with the Giants catcher.
I'm sure he's asking about his hamstring. A little bit of a problem here the last week and a half. And Posey had to score from second. Trip around the bases.
Well, if you're Mauer, the disappointment is the one when you walk Duffy. And tight to Belt. Overshift is on.
I mean, he literally was an inch or two away from striking Duffy out.
Yep. Belt chases a high fastball. It's 1-2. Pagan led the inning. Well, he didn't lead the inning off. Adrianza bounced out, and then Pagan with a base hit. And that's going to end the inning. Giants scored 3 times on 3 hits and a walk. And the big base hit, the one off the bat of Buster Posey, and then Pence adds on with a single. 4-1 Giants.
And by Xfinity, home of the most live sports.
Giants with a 4-1 lead here in the 7th. When it's time for a change, think Speedy, oil change and auto service, your oil change tune-up and brake experts.
So George Contos comes into his 45th game of the year. He's having a tremendous season, 2-1 with a 1.58 ERA. Odd that he's coming in to an inning at the start of an inning, because what his specialty has been this year is coming into an existing inning. And it's a stat that really bears repeating, even though he's not trying to protect any runners. He's been given 26 runners. He's inherited those, and he has not allowed one of those to score this year. 27 strikeouts against 6 walks, 39 base runners, and 45 2/3. He's just been dominant. And the thing I think is even more impressive is what he has done to left-handers more than righties. Lefties hitting a buck at 57 against him.
Here's Norris. Norris is singled and he's reached on an error. And the pitch is high. 1 ball and no strikes. Upton. And then a pinch hitter. There's a strike. George, very likable guy. He used to be on the fast track to Fresno. And he was on that track for a while. This is hit out to right field. I don't think he's on that track anymore.
No. He has seen the last of my legs. This is rehabbing an injury. Knock on wood.
So he said he's going to be at the Majestic store. You know the Majestic store is next to the Dugout store. On Friday at noon. You want to find out if George is a nice guy? Go say hello to him.
Yeah, he is indeed a very affable young man who has learned to pitch. been fun to watch him grow.
Pitch is down low.
Cantos originally came up in the Yankees and was a starter. But when the Giants got him, he's kind of a two-pitch guy. Four-seam fastball and a slider. Very good slider. Just a swing and miss slider for both righties and lefties. But he would have a tendency to overthrow it because he didn't have any other places to go. Like if his fastball was not popping, he would go all sliders. Not the case anymore. Two types of fastballs. Throw a cutter, throw a curveball, a changeup, and then when he gets you in that two-strike situation, then he can bury you with that slider. It's always been a good strikeout pitch.
Good pitch. Maybe only a good pitch because it was taken 1 and 2.
The sliders can be good pitches. You see Affleck finishing off his run. Just activated today off the disabled list.
Huge foul. Santos rubbing up a new baseball. Got him up and with the hat trick. 2 down.
And that's that nasty slider.
So here's Amarista.
Nasty slider, perfect location, bad combination for Melvin Upton.
So here's Amarista. Amarista, you see his numbers at 212. I've said this a lot over the last 3 games. You can throw those numbers aside because Amarista, for whatever reason, hits the Giants. And Mike made a good point last night. Amarista went from short to left field. How many guys do that?
Many. And he can also play center field and make you proud. He is a commodity. And like you say, against the Giants, he's torched him.
Santos rolling his eyes at Sam Holbrook. Be careful. Hit high into center field for Pagan. And that'll end the inning. Giants are coming up. Crawford to lead things off 4-1. TV Premium. Visit MLB.tv for details. Giants with a 4-1 lead. And the new pitcher is Dale Thayer. You might remember Thayer. He throws a mean piece of gum.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, he does throw a mean piece of gum. This is the 33rd time that he has come in. And 2-2 with a 4.11 ERA. He was the guy that gave up the grand slam last night to Hector Sanchez, then threw his gum at him. Low 90s fastball, slider, and changeup.
It really is kind of comical, don't you think?
Well, yeah, unnecessary.
Look, here's what I think happens, right? So he sees contact. He's going to take his gum out of his mouth. He's ticked. High fly ball to right. It is out of here. Crawford with a solo shot, and it's 5-1. And that's home run number 14. Unbelievable.
And the Giants get Dale the gun thrower again.
That's Crawford's first hit of the game. Almost in the same spot he hit his home run in the game last night. So here's Blanco. So Sanchez makes contact there, grabs his gum, he's going to throw it, and then changed his mind on where to throw it. He threw.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, though.
I mean, it's like what you do in the playground, right?
It is. Giants fastball, no doubt about it. Crawford to his 59th RBI of the year.
Somewhere Chris Russo just fell out of his chair.
I think Hector Sanchez enjoyed that as well.
There's a strike to Blanco.
And really, when that ball went out of the ballpark, I got to believe about 25 guys in the Giants dugout in unison said, throw your gum at that one.
Whatever you got in your mouth, wing it out on the field.
And Mauricio stays the game. He's in center field. But it's, you know, you play up against the same guys for a long time if you have a career up here. And if you do something like that, you kind of separate yourself from the herd, and you're going to take some heat.
On the line. Fair ball right on the line. And Blanco's going to stop at second. So this is what we're talking about if you didn't see it. It is quite comical. So you're going to see contact, gum, inside corner.
Well, he throws it at him, and it almost hits him in the chest as he's going down the baseline. So those two forevermore will be joined at the hip because of what happened last night. And those are the things you kind of want to avoid as a big league player.
Here's Maxwell. Maxwell takes low. On deck is Pagan. There's a ball that goes through the legs of Norris. The scoreboard here, I give him credit. They do a pretty good job. Here's the note on Maxwell. Maxwell last night hit a foul ball into the press box that hit San Francisco Chronicle writer Henry Schulman.
He's okay. Those are fun facts.
I like that. I want to see more of that around the major leagues. Here's the infield in. So they're going to base it up the middle. So Maxwell knocks in Blanco. And it's 6-1. There's Henry. You notice Henry's got the dual glasses going. He's got the reading glasses, and then he's got the sunglasses he puts over the reading glasses. Now, what Hank hasn't realized is you can actually buy sunglasses that are reading glasses.
Don't tell him that kind of stuff.
So we're going to have to get a little pool going, a little fun for Henry. Here's Pagan. Bouncing ball, Jerko. Jerko will shovel it to Barnes. On to first, not in time. Pagan will reach on the fielder's choice. Pagan's only hit in the game came in the 7th, and that led off. Or check that. That was a 1-out single, and after that, the Giants scored 3 times. So here's Panic, who's 2 for 4. Giants have scored all their runs from the 6th inning on. Down low to Panic. Tight game between Shields and Kane. Shields pitched very well.
Yeah, the game kind of went as advertised. A 1-1 tie when the 2 starters left the ball game. Actually, it was 1-0 when Shields left. He left after 5 innings because of the pitch count, but did pitch well.
And the walk. And here's Duffy. Let's see this. Pat Murphy not in a hurry anytime soon to get there out of there.
Well, I mean, keep in mind, he pitched in last night's ball game. That's a tough turnaround for a reliever. Pitching a day game after a night game. You know, Thayer is one of those relievers who will always take the ball. I mean, he's a bull. But finally, we get somebody up there. Sean Kelly, he's already been up once. This is his 2nd hunt, so it shouldn't take him long. But you don't want to leave any guy out there to get destroyed.
And Duffy takes a strike. So that was a pass ball by, if you mentioned it, I apologize. Pass ball by Norris. Duffy, right field, base hit. Here comes Pagan. Kemp will not throw it home. He'll throw it to second. Duffy with an RBI single. And the Giants add another run here in the 8th. So Thayer gives up 3 runs here in the 8th. And the hitter's Buster Posey. I mean, this is if you're an infielder, go in and talk to Thayer. Give that guy in the bullpen a chance to get ready so that the manager, if he wants to make a move, he can.
Padres do not have a day off tomorrow. They will entertain the Marlins tomorrow. First of a 4-game series over the weekend. This is why I believe they're extending Thayer today.
Posey, bouncing ball, foul. It's 7-1. Far from a laugher if you were with us through the first 6 innings. Posey. Softly hit. That's an out. That's an out. And that's a double play. And that'll end the inning. Brandon Crawford off of Dale Thayer. Gone. Bye-bye, baby. 7-1. Giants.
Coming up right after the game.
7-1 Giants.
New pitcher now for the Giants will be Jeremy Affeldt. They'll welcome him back from the disabled list. 33 games this year, 0-2 with a 5.96 ERA. But he's pretty excited about where he's at right now. He said, I haven't felt this good throwing the ball in a while. Got strength back in his shoulder. Able to get back up into a high release point where he gets his sink and where he gets his big curveball. Free pitch guy, fastball, low 90s, big curveball, and a forkball. A little split.
Here's Almonte. And what does he do? He breaks it out right off the bat. The breaking ball. And a good one, but it's not a strike. 1 ball and no strike. Two 2-0. Romo getting loose. Solarte on deck. FL pours it in. It's 2-1.
That relaxing. When the Giants activated Jeremy Affeldt today, they sent Josh Osich back to Sacramento. That was the transaction. Who was quite impressive.
He'll be back. We mentioned that earlier. We can be assured of that.
He really showed well the time he was up here. And you're right, he will be back.
Look out. 3-2. Base hit for Almonte. So here's Solarte. Rafael trying to get his feet on the ground. Which is wide.
That may have been a forkball there. But he is looking for that release point. I felt when he's right, you're going to see a lot of ground balls. I mean, that's something he's always been able to get, especially against righties. Right now, he just can't find the strike zone.
So Bruce Bochy is going to come out. He didn't want to let this one get away. He obviously wanted to let Atfield get his feet on the ground. So Romo's coming in. It's 7-1 Giants. Leader. (7-1) Giants. Atfield allows a hit and a walk, and Romo comes in.
40th time that he has come in this year. ERA at 4.71, 40 strikeouts in 28 2/3, 36 base runners. Just chewed on right-handers. Left-handers this year have hit better against them than they had last year. Romo, 2 types of fastball, slider, and changeup.
So here's Kemp. Kemp 1 for 2. And he takes a strike, the very famous Romo slider. Kemp 5 for 23 against Romo, lifetime. Foul back. It's nothing in 2. Jerko is on deck. Kemp wanted to go, but he held up. Monte Solarte, your base runner.
Good slide, just below the strike zone. So that strikeout brings some calm to the inning. Just a little no-doubter. Kemp just cannot stay back.
Here's Jerko. Jerko against Romo. He's only faced him one time. He's 1 for 1. And a fastball a bit outside. And now Romo has got the runner at second, picked off, and they got him. What in the world was Abraham Almonte thinking about? Down 7-1.
Well, he wasn't thinking. That's the point.
That is one word. Go to your room.
He had a great jump.
Doesn't make any sense.
You can't deny that. Where's he going? You gonna steal third, down 6 runs? That's unforgivable. He just got called up from the minor leagues today. It's not how you impress.
Jerko takes inside for a ball. I think asked him the same thing we asked. 3-0. Jerko takes a strike. Three and 1. 3 and 2.
Just throw that slider up there. Just get it in fastball. Not a problem. For Romo, really, it's the same pitch. I think if you go back over his career and look at him get into situations, he probably has a better feel of that slider than he does the fastball. Call it again.
Runner goes, and he hits it foul. Johnston. Lefty.
Oh, yeah. Grateful Dead, Giants. He's a Patriot.
So it's 3 and 2 to Jed Jerko. Runner goes on the ground, foul.
No chance for a ball back. Flawless.
I don't think they booted one in the series.
Oh, they look good. And we're not even making a play. Real good.
3-2 pitch. Hit out to Pence. Side retired. So Affeldt feel a little better. 9th inning coming up. Saturday and Sunday afternoon at 1. Giants pregame live will start at 12:30. Giants A's. Here's Pence facing Thayer. Pence takes a strike. Pence is 1 for 4. He knocked in a run with a base hit in the 7th. Down low, Belt on deck, and then Crawford. Kane a chance to pick up a win. Shields end up with a no decision. Low and away to Pence. Three and one. It's been Shields, Mateo, Mauer, Quackenbush, and Thayer. And a strike. Pence would have to come back. It's 3-2. As Meta Petit is getting loose in the Giants bullpen. Pence takes strike 3 call. Not a guy that ever complains a whole lot. But he does in that at bat. And here's Belt. Here's Petit. Belt is walked twice. He's homered. And then Quackenbush struck him out in the 7th. Overshift is on for Belt, and the pitch is down low. Crawford is on deck. Swing and a tapper foul. That must have gone off the end of the bat because it chipped the tip of Belt's bat. See, that means that bats are cupped at the end. Here's the home run that tied the game off of Marcus Mateo.
Well, and that's a 2-strike swing of the bat as well. I mean, Giants have really done damage in this series in 2-strike counts. And that tied it up. He really brought life into that Giants dugout. First home run he'd had in 82 days. And that had to feel good for him.
Swinging a foul back.
And one thing we've learned about Brandon Bell, his hits come in bunches, and that includes home runs as well. He is streaky.
He is very streaky. Bell hits a high pop-up down the left field line. Almonte giving chase, and he'll make the catch in fair territory. 2 out. Here's Crawford's home run. He had a solo shot off of Thayer in the 8th.
Home run number 14, RBI number 59.
And a shot at 20. On the ground, sharply Alonso, and that's going to end the inning. Bottom of the 9th coming up with a Petit coming in.
Fastball is what the Giants have been waiting for. He spotted it well. He elevated it. He established the knees. He threw his changeup, his cutter, his curveball. He had everything going, and stands to get a win in this ball game if the score stays the way it is. He is our player of the game. Brought to you by Honda. So 7-1 Giants. We're in the bottom half of the 9th inning, and it's going to be Yusmeiro Petit coming out of the Giants bullpen. Take a look at the numbers for Petit. The swing man, 26th time he has come in. He has made a start. 1-1 with a 4.38 ERA. Going to try and close this one out and send the Giants home to San Francisco with a couple of series victories on this road trip. A sweep in Arizona and a 2-1 series victory here if he can get those precious 3 outs.
Well, Lopez is up in the bullpen. It may be one of these games where if Bruce Bochy has a shot to get Lopez some work, he's going to do that. There's a strike call to Alonso, or he may be up to throwing on his own.
He's had several days off, and it's going to be an off day tomorrow, a scheduled off day. They may get him in the game just to keep him sharp.
Hunter Pence is going to have to come in a long way. He is going to call off Panic, and he puts it away for out number 1. And here's Barmas.
I think more often, or I think it's more likely that Javier Lopez is just out there throwing.
There's a strike call to Barmas. Barmas, who had very poor history against King, lifetime 1 for 18. Went 0 for 3 against King today. Ownage is ownage. You see it all the time. 1 and 2. So Petit coming into the game with good stuff. Ball back. Giants a win today, if they can hang on, will have won 8 of their last 9. And they will have completed a 5-1 road trip.
And a great start to the second half. Always a question mark when you open up out of the All-Star game on the road.
Well, Bruce Bochy was saying, you know, they won the last 3 games before the All-Star break. He was like, well, I don't want the All-Star break now. And it turned out they really did need it because some of the younger guys needed some time off. And if you're struggling offensively for the Giants, there's no better place to go to start out the second half than to Arizona. I'm not saying they're going to win always in Arizona, but they are going to swing the bats in that ballpark.
Well, and they're confident. They've had good success in the last several years in that ballpark.
So Petit did not want to walk Barmas, but that's exactly what happened. And that will bring up Norris.
Well, now all of a sudden now, Javier Lopez throwing with a little more intensity.
Yeah, and Wallace is on deck. So Norris is retired. And Bruce Bochy's coming out. This is just a flat case of Bruce Bochy wants Lopez to get some work. It's 7-1. Lopez coming in, and we'll be back.
46th time that he has come in. 17 or 18 base runners in 24 and 2/3. Been fantastic. Solid first half. And as Kai mentioned, this is just a chance for him to keep the rust off as the Giants are going into an off day tomorrow. It's been a while since he's been out there. Lefty's hitting 120 off. Nobody's hit. Kind of reinvented himself a little bit this year, brought back some pitches, changeup in particular that he's throwing a lot to righties, which has allowed him to face righties.
So here's Brett Wallace. Varmus goes and Wallace takes a strike. So if you're keeping score, Varmus goes to second. Nobody cares.
Defensive indifference.
Check swing. Foul.
I mean, Varmus could take third if he wanted it.
Two. No swing.
Brett Wallace, Pac-12 Player of the Year twice with Arizona State. Former first-round pick of the Cardinals.
Sending that into the seats. 38,435. That was the attendance here this afternoon. Game started at 12:41. So Wallace hanging in there. It's 1-2. Giants be back in town tonight, a day off tomorrow, and then the A's on Friday night. It's been a good road trip for that man behind the plate.
Indeed it has.
Wallace just got a piece to stay alive. There's Buster Posey. Came into this game 6 for 16 on the trip. But it's the big RBIs that he's gotten on this trip. 2 today. Giving him 66 on the season. And Wallace again with a foul. All right, he's starting to tick me off now.
You're ready to go home.
No, I want to talk to the fellas back at the studio. That's what I want to do. Yeah, Greg and Bill, they're sitting there waiting. They probably like to beat traffic. Popped him up. Panic. And that's the ball game. Giants take game 3. They take 2 out of 3 here against the Padres, who came in, by the way, having won 5 straight. So the Giants take 2 out of 3. They go 5-1 on this road trip, and now they'll head home. So a good game today, good trip overall.
Well, indeed, and I think the punctuation mark on the good trip was how well Matt Cain threw today. The Giants absolutely need him this second half. What they saw today, they have to be thrilled with.
All right, final score here at Petco Park. It'll be the Giants 7 and the Padres 1. Stay tuned. Esurance Giants post-game live story.